Hi guys, and welcome back to Caterpillar Cross Stitch. In this week's video, I thought it would be really helpful to talk you through what's included in all of our cross stitch kits, show you the supplies, and show you also step by step exactly how to get started. If this is the first one of our videos and you've just hopped over to our YouTube channel, then hi, I'm Sally. I'm the owner and designer at Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I would love to have you join this community. I upload new videos every single week with everything to do with cross stitch, new products, launches, exciting news, giveaways, and lots of tutorials. So please do consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be notified when a new video goes up next week. So inside all of our cross stitch kits, the first thing that you will receive in the package, if it's something that you've bought for yourself, is one of our thank you postcards. On the back of that, you'll see all of our different social media handles. So if you want to, you can come and check us out on every single social media platform. If it's a kit that you've bought for someone else and it's a gift, there might be a gift card in there as well, if that's something that you requested at checkout on our website. If you want to, you can always add in a personalised note, and that will be handwritten onto the gift card itself, which will be inside their cross stitch kit. So you've got your brand new cross stitch kit, and if you check out the outside of the packaging, you will see the full stitch count listed on there, together with loads of other details. All of the supplies are listed on there, so you know exactly what is inside your kit. And also there is a large colour photo, which is of how the design is going to look when you've finished cross stitching it. The stitch count details on the card insert will show you exactly how many stitches wide and how many stitches high your finished piece will be. We also include the finished stitched area dimensions on there as well, depending on the various fabric options. So for beginners, we recommend a 14 count Ada kit. If you want to know more about fabrics, I'll link down below a blog and a video all about the different options that you can choose from. But for this example, we'll have the 14 count Ada kit, and it will show you exactly how big that's going to be when you've finished. So if you want to then go and buy a frame or finish it off in some other way, you know how big that needs to be. With all of the cross stitch kits, there are options to add on other bits and pieces. So one of the most popular things to add on is one of the 17 different designs of magnetic needle minders. These are really cute, handy gadgets that attach to your fabric using the two magnets. They don't damage the fabric at all, and they make sure that that needle is safe all the time during your breaks in stitching. For the kit I'm going to show you today, it's Bloom and Grow, and the needle minder has been specifically designed to complement both the thread colours and the elements within the design itself, mainly the sunflower. The needle minders aren't part of the standard kits, but you'll see on the different options you can add these on easily to the cross stitch kit. You might also choose to add on one of our super sharp but comfy Carlos the Caterpillar scissors. We have these available in pink, green and blue, coming soon. When you open up your cross stitch kit, one of the first things you're going to see is the colourful thread holder. So again, this has Carlos the Caterpillar on it. All of the holes on the card are numbered so that you can easily correspond this to the thread key within the kit. In this kit, for example, for Bloom and Grow, there are 14 different shades of DMC thread, and these have been numbered accordingly, cut, pre-cut by hand, pre-sorted onto the thread holder, so everything's really super organised, and I'll show you next exactly how you know which colour to select. Next in your cross stitch kit, you will see the fabric that you've chosen. Each of the cross stitch designs comes with a different colour fabric, but then within that you can normally choose between 14 count Ada, 16 count Ada, or an even weave, which sometimes comes in 28 count or 32 count, just depending on the design. But for this Bloom and Grow kit, we've gone for the 14 count white Zweigart Ada fabric, which also comes with a DMC branded size 24 needle. In your kit, you'll find professionally printed colour cross stitch patterns. These are split over pages of A4, depending on the size of the design. Some of the smaller patterns might just be on the one page of A4, and some of the larger ones, for example, watercolour alphabet, is actually split over 4 separate pages of A4. You'll see on the pages themselves in the bottom right hand corner clearly listed the page number, everything stapled so you're not going to get confused. If you're not quite sure about the orientation of the design that you've chosen in your kit, again in the bottom right hand corner of the pattern sheets, it will also detail if the pattern is portrait or landscape, and you can easily correspond this to the finished picture of what the cross stitch will look like, which is on the front cover of the packaging. Next, it's time to get started. And the first thing you're going to need to do is open up that beautiful fabric that you've got. I suggest folding it in half and half again. Open that out and then you can easily see the center point. You need to be corresponding this with the center of the pattern, your printed pattern inside the kit. So to find the center of the pattern, to correspond this with the fabric, if you take a look along the top row and on the left side axis, you'll see two black arrows. These are pointing down and across to two red lines, and the point at which those two red lines cross is the center of the pattern. If you're a beginner and you're not quite sure how to get started, if you flip to the final page within your cross stitch kit, you'll see full instructions broken down into a really easy to understand step-by-step format. And on the other side of that instruction sheet, you'll see your DMC thread key, which shows you the colours, the codes and the hole on your thread holder that those colours are inside. Also, and most importantly, it will show you which symbol you need to be looking for on your pattern. So for example, with Bloom and Grow, we're starting in the centre, and where those two red lines cross is the bottom of a sunflower. So we're going to be looking for a bright yellow, which has a black square inside it. Embroidery thread is actually made up of 6 individual strands. Now on 16 and 14 count Aida fabric, we only need to be using 2 of those 6 strands. This is all talked about and detailed in the instructions themselves, and also in one of our earlier videos called Cross Stitch Basics for Beginners. So I'll link that down below. So the first thing really to do is to choose that bright yellow from your thread holder and take out one of those pieces of thread. From those 6 strands, then separate that out into 3 lots of 2. You're only using 2 strands at any one time. The threads that are pre-cut by hand in the thread holder are cut to 1 meter lengths. So that might be a touch too long for you to handle. What we do recommend is using a piece that is the length from your hand to your elbow. So just cut a piece that is manageable and you're able to work with. You can then thread your needle and either start the normal way, the traditional way, so thread your needle with 2 strands and leaving a bit of a tail at the end, or you could use the loop method, which is where you actually just use 1 strand and that gets looped over. I'll link down below another video where I show you how to do that too. So the first thing to do once you've threaded your needle with your bright yellow thread that we're going to need to stitch the sunflower with is you are coming up at the back of the fabric. So pick your square that's pretty much in the center of the fabric, come up from behind in the bottom left-hand corner of that square. Bring your needle through. Now don't pull it the entire way through. We want to leave a small tail right on the back of the fabric. Push your needle back down this time through the top right-hand hole and come back up again through the top left hole and down again through the bottom right-hand hole. I'll show you how to do this. It does get easier with practice, I promise. So you've just completed your first cross stitch of a brand new pattern. So you just keep going according to the pattern, sticking with this one colour at one time. You can either work in rows horizontally or vertically using half stitches and coming back over again to complete the full stitches, or you can use a different method where you just do 1 full stitch at each time. On the pattern here with this sunflower, you've got quite a large section using the same colour thread. So it's absolutely fine to just keep going until you've used up all of that thread. What you need to do is leave a bit of a tail, a few centimetres or so at the back. You don't need to tie a knot or anything like that. But when you're ready, at the back of the fabric, you can just push the needle under a couple of your existing stitches and pull your needle off the end. That means that the end of your thread is neatly secured under, and you can just trim off any excess. If you're looking at your pattern like we are here and you're seeing another section that uses the same colour thread, so on Bloom and Grow we've got 2 different sunflowers, it might be a good idea, instead of pulling the thread across, for 2 reasons: because you're going to see that colour thread at the back of your white fabric, but also because you're wasting the thread in the kit, to finish it off when you finish that one section and then start again in the next section. All of our kits do come with really generous amounts of threads, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. We can always send you some more if you need to, but it's always a good idea to finish one section off and start again to keep the back of the project as neat as possible. When you finish the first section of your pattern, we're looking back and seeing what's coming up next. You can see on the pattern here with this orange DMC 3820 colour here with the black circles that there are lots of smaller sections of it. They're not actually touching, but because they're really close together and they're only a couple of stitches apart or so, it's absolutely fine to jump from one section to another. It's just a good idea perhaps not to drag a thread much further than 3 stitches or so across the back of the fabric. The temptation when you first start off cross stitching, if you've done any kind of needlework before or sewing, is to always tie knots in the back of thread when you're starting off. But this really isn't necessary, and it also makes the fabric look a bit bulky and perhaps look like it's got lumps in it when you are finishing it off, mounting it or framing it, etc. But when you are starting, if you're just leaving a small tail at the back of 2-3 centimeters, you will find that as you continue stitching, that little end does get darned in. It gets attached under the other stitches. So the stitches aren't going anywhere, they're perfectly secure. Next, when you want to hop over to another colour, you can easily put your needle down onto the super strong needle minder, which will keep that secure while you're sorting out your threads ready for the next section. When you're ready, simply pick up your needle again and get going. You might choose to edge the fabric, whether that is with a zigzag type stitch if you've got a sewing machine. Some people stick on some kind of masking tape or washi tape, or just stitch it by hand. But to be honest, I don't necessarily think it's required. It's just personal preference. Also, when you finish your cross stitch pattern, again, I don't always do this, but you might like to wash it depending on how much it's been handled and the environment. I'll link down below a video where I show you exactly how I washed my Grace Wreath monogram cross stitch piece, and a load more tutorials on finishing off ideas if you're looking for something a bit more interesting than just framing it. When you've finished off your cross-stitched piece and you're really proud of this finished work of art, you might like to give it a quick iron. Now, this is something that can make people a little bit nervous. Of course, you're putting an iron on something that you've put hours of love and care into. But I will also link down below a video where I ironed the same cross-stitch piece just to show you what it's like. I tend to use the ironing board and 2 slightly damp tea towels for protection. Sometimes you might have one of those spray bottles, you can do a light mist, and then the iron on a medium to low setting. I always do it from the back of the fabric just in case anything happens, which will also make the fabric, particularly Ada, a bit stiffer, a bit crisper, which makes it easier when you're finishing it off. So hopefully by now you're well on your way to finishing off your beautiful cross-stitched piece. If you need any support at all, please do contact our team here by emailing support@caterpillarcrossstitch.com, or you can always hop over to our 10,000 member strong international Facebook group where we have beginners and more experienced stitchers from all over the world who share tips, inspiration, ideas, and answer any questions you might have, big or small. There's no such thing as a silly question. So thank you for being a part of this community. I hope you get so much pleasure and enjoyment from stitching your kit. If you need anything at all, please get in touch. You can always leave us a comment down below on this video. Thanks for being here with me this week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.